Like I said, I'm really proud to be standing up here on stage with these people. There's a family that's been dealing with it for a really long time. Hopefully, you guys will help get this moved along and get to the healing process. 20 years. You can make it happen. There's got to be some way we can get somebody to get something moving where we can get an art gallery with a venue for all ages shows or something and open it up in Brian's name. Something positive that we can move it forward with. I know you guys are capable. You got a house full of people right here. I'm sure amongst a few of you can get that moving, no?
Yeah.
We're gonna let the Denekis have a little word here.
We appreciate you all being here tonight and showing the support you have shown to us through the years. You're back 99, back in that time frame, a lot of the media was portraying it as a town without pity, and I don't know exactly why they did that. I can understand to some extent, but the support we have gotten from so many people in Amarillo through the years has really helped us. I know there's two sides to everything, and not everybody is supportive, but so many people have, and it's been great. It's really helped us, and we are really grateful that Brian's memory still lives on. His story, we know from people we have heard from all over the nation, and even some from overseas, we know that the story has resonated with people, and we hear from people all the time that tell us how hearing the story has made a difference in their lives, the way they see people and the way they think about people. And that's what we hope comes out of the story, that there's some good that comes out of it. And I believe this movie is a vehicle that helps to get the message out even further. And we appreciate you being here. We appreciate all of the cast and the crew that put this together. We know they put their hearts into it, and we appreciate the job they did. Thank you.
Want to kick off the Q&A? Yeah, that sounds good. All right. So listen, we're gonna try to keep this orderly. We're gonna do a little Q&A session with the cast and crew. All right. So if you guys have a question, just raise your hand. Somebody's gonna send a mic out to you. I thought I would start it off since I've seen the movie more times than everybody in the building. Oh no, not true. Sorry, the editors. Did you guys do the editing too? Yeah, all right, so, all right. The only one not directly involved. Well, anyway, my question was, besides the obvious of trying to get the, and this is general for whoever wants to answer, besides the obvious, wait, hold on. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves first? Yeah, okay, let's start there, hold on. All right, so we're gonna have everybody involved, cast and crew, introduce themselves, and then we'll get it started.
Yo, what's up, guys? I'm Eddie Hassel, and I play Chris Oles.
Yeah! It's Chris Oles.
I'm Chris Oles.
Woo! Yeah!
Hello everyone, my name is Henry Knotts and I play John King. Hey, I'm Major Dodge. I produced this film with Sheldon Chick. I cast it, and I play Officer Denny, the cop with the goatee.
I'm Jameson. A lot of people know me as JD Brooks here. I co-wrote it with Sheldon. Actually, History wrote it, but we just kind of filled in the gaps in between. But I also directed the film. I'm Jason Beneke, and I just want to thank my Bomb City crew and family, and my Dirt City crew and family for the support. I love you guys.
My name is Cody Chick, and I composed it along with my brother, and I was an associate producer.
Everybody kind of knows what I did. I co-wrote with Jamie, I produced with Major, and I composed the music with my brother. My name's Sheldon.
Erica, and I did the still photography. Thanks, everybody.
That would be something you would do.
I'm Dave Davis, and I played Brian Dennegan!
What's up, Amarillo? I'm Wally, and I was charged with the hard task of fucking outfitting these punk rockers. I was fucking costumer. I made sure the wardrobe was legit. Hell yeah. I'm Adam Dietrich, and I designed the movie.
Dave Oganowski, cinematographer.
Cinematographer! And this is CJ yelling at me.
All right, so let's kick off the Q&A here. So the first question I had is, besides the obvious of telling a story that needed to be told, what really was your guys' goal at telling the story, besides getting it out to the world? Like, is there something else that you wanted to accomplish with the film? And anyone?
Obviously, the story resonated with us when we were young. I was 15, Cody was 17, Jamie was 12, and we all lived here. And the story resonated with us. So all these years later, when we were going to make a feature film, we knew we were going to make a film, and the story just kept coming back to us. It was so important, and just looking back at our past and what story had affected us, we wanted to tell a story that was close to home, that was told about a little bit about who we were, but ultimately had a message, and that message was don't judge a book by its cover. And hopefully, that gets across to the audience.
Thank you. Yeah. You think they did that? All right, so there's 2 microphones out there somewhere. If you got a question, raise your hand and someone's gonna bring it to you. This young lady right here's got a question. Who's got the mic?
How did you pick the characters of this movie?
When you're casting a film that's based on a true story, first and foremost, they need to look somewhat like the real character. I guess I should probably just talk about the hardest role to cast, which was Brian Deneke. Dave Davis, one of my best friends, Isaiah Laborde, he was a consulting producer on this. I actually knew Dave. They'd worked together on former projects. And Brian Deneke was a hard role to cast. Typically when you cast a film, you'll cast your lead actor first, and you'll build your cast around your lead. But because Jamie and Sheldon, they held Brian in such high regard, he was the last actor cast in this film. Not only did we have to find an actor that encompassed the punk spirit that Brian had, but we also had to have an actor that could pass for him physically. We had to have an actor, because this was not a Hollywood film, it was a low-budget film, we had to have an actor who could skateboard, because we couldn't hire a stunt double. And Dave could fucking skate.
Yeah.
Fuck, sorry. Fuck. Fuck. I had a lot tonight, right? And Dave can skate, so, but on top of that, Dave can act. He can act his ass off, right? And he can pass for Brian. And so, yeah, that's what we did. Eddie Hassel played Chris Oles. Henry Knox played John Kings. I mean, all of these guys, they just brought it. And
He's all.
it was a lot of fun to cast this film, and the actors they're family, and we love them. So.
Who's next? Who got a question? Hand up.
I got one for Dave.
Oh, there he is, up in the back.
I'm over here. So this one's for Dave. I just wanted to know, how hard was it to get into that role of Brian, and what did you come out of it like expecting to play that role?
Mic to your mouth! Okay. So, I had very little time to actually do the research necessary, so I was reliant on some intuition with my own distaste for authority, I'll say. It's like if you tell me what to do, I'll be like, don't tell me what to do! And everything from there was kind of just a miracle. Like, I wish I could say that I was like, oh, I had an exact blueprint that I could work from, but I was kind of guessing based on me growing up being a guy who had spent a lot of time skateboarding in his driveway. And, you know, being a goofball and pissing people off. And the more I got into it, the more people said, hey, you're doing that right. And then I stopped questioning myself, and I fell in love with Brian, and I fell in love with Brian's family, and with Brian's friends, and with Amarillo, and I wish I could say I knew what I was doing, but I didn't. And now when I look back, I'm thankful that it worked out really well, because everybody says it worked. I wish that I knew Brian. I wish I had the opportunity to meet him. I wish that I had the opportunity to be affected by him personally, by him. But the truth is I didn't. And the truth is, as I move forward in my life, I feel like I do know him because I'm not going to say that he's a part of my spirit, but my spirit has changed based on my attempt to understand and incorporate him into myself. And I cannot thank Brian enough. I cannot thank Brian's family enough. I cannot thank Brian's friends enough. That's it.
Anybody got a question? Oh, there you go.
Okay, biggest question. Great job, first of all. But why was the asshole's name changed to the movie? So everybody can
It's just a decision we made early on. We didn't want to attack anyone. We wanted to come from a place where we were building unity and love, and we just didn't want to attack anyone individually. Everyone,
Yeah!
You can easily find out who it is. We just didn't want to, take that stance.
That's good. That's good. I like that. Shoot!
Can we just get a big in unison? Fuck you, Dustin Camp. Fuck you, Dustin Camp.
Count to 3.
I know.
Okay, this is.
Hey, listen, brother. I understand why you say that, and I wouldn't doubt any, or I wouldn't really feel bad about anybody saying it. But the fact is, the fact is that we're trying to get past that point. It's been at that point for 20 years. We got to the next point. But brother, I love your spirit. And I hear you. Well, I'd like to say that to a whole bunch of people in that movie. But the fact is we need to get by that. 20 years is enough time of being hateful. We got to get kind of to the next level. All right, who's got the next question? Up there. What's up?
This
it's not a question, but when there's not a dry in the house, Sheldon, Jamie, y'all did a fucking good job.
Thank you.
Go ahead, shoot, Batman.
Hey, it's for Jason, Betty, Mike. I love you guys. Did this bring y'all any closure?
I think we're in some ways pretty close anyway. And I know you remember back in the day kind of how it was, because I can see who you are up there, Mr. Howard. Anyway, but yeah, it did. I mean, I think it changed a little bit of just Brian and I and just our friends, and it showed them that we, over the years after this happened, that we weren't what society basically was telling them that we were actually still those kids that were their kids. Does that make sense? So, thanks for being here, Shane. I love you.
I'm curious why it was Mr. Frosty instead of IHOP.
Okay, IHOP's open 24 hours a day. It's hard to get to film in there, first off. It's corporate, and we didn't want to cut through all the red tape, and Mr. Frosty's looks pretty dang good on film, so.
I noticed that there was a pig in the dog, what is it called? In the shelter, thank you. My dad actually bleached a pig for Brian Deneke once and dyed its hair. I was wondering what other stories you wanted to put into the movie, or any stories that you found out on production that you just couldn't really fit in for time.
Oh, I got one. That's a good one.
I'll send it over to you in a second. But Jason threw a really great party towards the end of filming, and I learned the phrase, "Don't tell me what to do, I'm a fucking anarchist." And to their chagrin, I proceeded to use that phrase repeatedly in the following scene. It was literally actually the last scene we had to film. And they told me afterwards, there was one take in which I didn't say that, and they were like, "Thank you," because we needed that one moment of can you not scream at us for a second in this scene?
That was whenever he became an anarchist altogether towards the end of the production. But there were two things that I really wish that we could have included. One, the iconic Cadillac Ranch. Brian had a hand in moving it to its current location over there off I-40. That obviously was not in our budget, but I begged for it and cried for it, and it never happened. But I'm sorry. The other thing is more skating. There was a lot of scenes that got cut where actually Dave sketched behind cars, and we just had more just skating and more just. I mean, I grew up making skate videos, so being from Amarillo, it meant a lot. I know Brian was an avid skater. I think somebody just released a video of him, skateboarding in the driveway, and just those little things. I just wish we could have incorporated in there. But Brian was just such an awesome person, and there were like 1,000 stories that came in right after we wrapped production. I mean, and we obviously can only do so much, but I think we should make a sequel. But we could, because Brian's legacy. I mean, it's all about Brian's legacy and just, I mean, in the community. I mean, I just hope that through Brian's story, it's meant so much to us, and Amarillo is one big family. We're all in this together.
Yeah.
Honor Brian the best we can. Let's just, it's a tragedy, but let's learn from it, let's grow from it, and let's just become one.
I got a question right up here. Okay, first of all, I can't even talk right now. Phenomenal job on the film. I loved every second of it. I am currently in film school right now. You guys are extremely, what's the word?
Lucky. Talented.
Yeah, talented, number one, inspiring. But I do have a question. How long did it take to make this dream a reality?
2 years.
It was
2, 3.
coming up on like 6 years now, so we're in the middle of 5 years. And it's just, you know,
Oh,
that's
the actual
from meeting the
filming.
Dennekeys for the first time and asking their permission. And then, yeah, it's just been a long run, so about 6 years.
Okay, it took about 6 years to get it off the ground up and running. Obviously, first and foremost, we wanted to talk to the Denneke family. Without their blessing, this never would have happened. But the great thing about Brian's story is the fact that it brought on all these amazing filmmakers you see up here, all these amazing actors. They wanted to be part of it, no matter what it was going to take. And I think that's what really helped with the whole value and just everything that you see on screen. It was really just based on everyone believed in it. They wanted to be part of it, no matter what. I mean, this was a passion project first and foremost. We're all DIY filmmakers, and can't ask for anything more.
Question? I actually have sort of two questions. I'm very white bread, fluffy, middle class. So when something is super gritty and scares the shit out of me, then I feel like you've captured something so amazing. So answer this question second. Chris and Jason, you guys were there. Does this capture the true grit, or was there anything else that was necessary? But Jason, answer this first, and this goes back to Fluff. Jason's character is what drew my eye. I'm like, Jason, were you that hot? Seriously?
I wish Dominic was here. Where's Dom?
Oh, damn, look, he's so red.
I mean, I am married, my wife's right here, so, No, Dom that played me, he did a great job, and no, I was not that buff.
Yeah!
But to answer your other question, yes, they did capture it to the point that I've seen this movie once all the way through, and it was not tonight. I did it once, and almost had to walk out the first time because it hit me that hard. And so tonight, when I knew it was getting to the part that was going to hit me hard, I had to go because I just can't do it again because it's almost like reliving that night. So.
Yeah, refresh my memory. What was that question again, please? Well, that night, I'll tell you, it really, to be honest with you, from what I saw, I've only been able to see a little bit of it. I guess maybe I'm a pussy about it, but I'll cover my face a little bit. But from what I've seen, it still wasn't as bad. But as far as the feeling goes, I'd come back to when they had that film, when they were filming that, because I felt that was a very important part that they got that right. The feeling that was over the set at that time, I definitely feel that it was dead on. There were a lot of friends that we had back then, and I just wanted to, while I have this microphone here to put this up there, there were a lot of friends of ours there that they didn't have the budget to represent them, and it's unfortunate. But there are a lot of people here in this audience that love Brian and were around at the time and had close connections with him. And I have a lot of love for all of those people, and I know Brian did. And it's unfortunate that they weren't able to do that. This is a DIY film. A lot of these dudes lost money making this rather than making money, just because of the passion that they had in making this film. But it was close enough. But, you know, I just really appreciate everyone that did take the time to make this.
Go ahead, girl.
We're kind of optimistic about that, but ultimately we've traveled to a few film festivals, and everywhere we went, people have come to us and said that this is very representative of when they grew up, you know. So hopefully some of those people will watch the movie and maybe they'll reach out. If you go have a beer with Jason, he's not that as hard-nosed as you think. So you reach out to someone and you talk to Chris Hull. I mean, it's all love from all these people, and you know, on the outside there might be a tough shell, but I think hopefully if they'll watch the film, they'll learn a little bit about themselves. So.
And I was just going to say, just for the record, the actor that played Jason is not that hard either, because they all stayed at my house since this was a low-budget film. I couldn't afford to put them in hotels, and Dom and Dave had a wrestling match in my living room, and Dave kicked the shit out of him. I love you, Dom. You look tough on screen, but you're not tough.
Okay, I would like to commend Mr. and Mrs. Denicky and Jason for their bravery and their courage in sustaining themselves through this total roller coaster of emotions. For people outside of Amarillo, is there any way you can add on the end of this movie that Dustin Camp violated his probation and justice for Dave?
Really, we just want people to look up the facts after they watch the movie. It's really just, the movie's a device to look into the actual story, get your facts straight, and look into what the heart is and what the true message is behind it.
I want to ask about specifically the words that Brian was reading from his notebook in the movie, if those were his actual words. And also, just his dialogue in general, how true to him was the dialogue. I knew him just a little bit back then, and it rang really true for me, so just curious.
The lyrics were not, they were actually lyrics from, we had a band a long time ago. We wrote together. So. I mean, a lot of the dialogue, Jamie was really good with this. We kind of let these guys be punks on stage, you know. So, and Dave did such a good job at just, you know, bringing that spirit. And so, as far as the punk dialogue goes, we just, you know, put them in a party scene. There was some lines we needed to get across, and we knew that. But, you know, they threw that punk banner together. We would tell Eddie, you know, get Chris Holes in there. Like, get in there, Chris. And the actors did such a good job at bringing it to a different. So it's not very. It doesn't seem staged. It's very like lifelike.
One thing I'd like to say is that, on that note, but a little bit different. So a lot of the times that you guys were gasping about what was said in the courtroom, that is the actual transcript from the courtroom. So all the stuff that you guys were gasping about the lawyer saying and all that, that's all real. That all was all said.
I mean, coming from a small town myself, I didn't come from Amarillo. I came 2 hours north Canadian. I'm 24 now. I was an outcast, as y'all were. And we had the popular kids, and I was known as an emo, a punk. anything and everything that you can think of, they called me. So the story really hit hard to me. So I know the feels and everything, and I mean, y'all like hit it right on the note. I had to walk out because I was about in tears. But y'all, yeah, it was good.
Mine's not really a question as much as a statement. I was a few years short of being probably associated with Brian and his crew. As is right now, a lot of my circle of friends is people who were close and friends and knew Brian on a personal level. I was like her, I was never associated with anybody in school. I was never grouped together with any particular group, but I was always the outcast. I remember being in middle school and hearing the story of what happened. And it hit me and it changed me in a lot of ways. And it made it, it's hard to put into words, but I want to thank you guys for the effort that you put into this. I want to thank Brian and his crew and his family and his friends and everything he did for this town, because it really helped me find a place for myself. And I know it helped a lot of other people do that same thing. This town has an overglaze that's really hard to crack, but once you can get through that crust and get down into the center and get to the underground of this town, there's a lot of acceptance, there's a lot of family, there's a lot of love. And I want to say that Brian and his crew and everybody that was part of that group and everything that they did in the early 90s, the mid 90s, the late 90s, the aughts, they really helped find a family for a lot of us. And I want to thank all of you who were part of that.
I also, excuse me, have a few comments to make. But I did know Brian, and I just wanted to say one thing. I wasn't a punk, and he accepted me and loved me. And I got the same hugs from him that he gave to any of his friends, which was the warmest, friendliest. I was telling my mom earlier, he made you feel like you were the most special person to him. And I felt that from him. And I do want to encourage people, the girl that asked up there, do you think that Amarillo still has the division between alternative people and preppy people? And I have the privilege of going into schools. I'm a grown adult now, and I have the privilege of going into schools and talking about bullying and things like that. And I tell them Brian's story every single time I go into the high schools. Tears fall, and people, you know, have heard Brian's story, so I just want to encourage you in that. And my favorite part of the movie was the depiction of Chris Oles, because I knew him pretty well, and when he was praying, when he was on the way to the fight, and I was like, that's so Chris. You know, he was like, Lord, protect us, Lord. You know, and he had a strong faith in God, and I believe still does. But when he was lifting up his head and praying, I was like, whoa, that's so Chris.
Awesome. First off, thank you for reaching out to people that are being bullied. I didn't hear. I don't really know about the boots on the ground. I don't have boots on the ground in Amarillo as much anymore. I think the world's changed drastically in 20 years with the internet. People don't judge people as harshly because they're exposed to a lot more stuff. Y'all would probably know better than us about the scene here.
One of the things that I love most about this movie is the sequence at the beginning where Jamie ties the imagery that's happening at the club where the guys are partying, the punks are partying, and the jocks are at the football game, and all of their fans. And those two images that he goes back and forth from are so similar. If you watch the movie again, just watch every clip and how the activities that they're doing are so similar, physically similar. And I think that's the change that's happening now, is that technology has the opportunity to bridge Amarillo to Venice, to to Cincinnati to LA. And when you recognize that everybody's just finding a group that they connect with, and no group is small now. Your group is huge. You can reach out to your group. You can find more support for your group. And I love this film because it's encouraging people to go and do that and to overcome these kind of tragedies and forewarn people of these kind of tragedies. So, anyway.
I think that's a really big thing when you just forward, because everyone knows that, kids are dumb. Kids do stupid shit all the time. It doesn't matter, what side you're on, whatever. It's sort of ingrained in you as a kid to stick with your group and to fight the other. It's just what we do. It's how we're raised. It just is what it is. It's part of human nature. But I think it is always important for stories like this to keep coming to light, to remind people that it just takes one moment, one stupid moment from anyone, for a tragedy to occur. So.
I just want to say, like everyone in this room, I've waited probably 8 months, 10 months to watch this movie. I've seen Jamie's mom post up on social networking, been pumped up, and finally get to see it today. And I know your parents are proud, Jamie, but the city of Amarillo, we're all very proud of you, man.
Thanks, brother, dude. Thank you. Two more questions. And then we have a special treat after.
Yeah, don't leave because we're gonna show a little special treat for you guys.
So, first off, that was such a moving movie. It really touched me. Brian's, just his artwork, just the signs that he put up all over town. I constantly throughout my day try to see him. I try to notice all of them. Being a punk's more about getting along with those who don't necessarily meld with those who, just have it together, have the perfect life or whatever. It's about finding each other in between the spaces, and it's just good to see that punk music and the punk way of life is just not hateful. It's accepting those who aren't accepted and being that way together. And I'm just mainly curious about how did the life and the death of this man affect the punk scene and rock and roll as a whole. For anyone.
How are you? So, punk rock community is pretty unique in the music world because it's one of the few styles of music, forms of music, where the people involved are people who started way on the outside and suddenly are way on the inside. Different types